Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of The Drink of Choice. My name is Sid Kim, your co-host, and I'm here with my co-host, who is Han Kim, Billboard top music lawyer, variety music legal elite, sounds pretty fancy, and JDDJ, which we'll find out about later. So, Han,
Yours truly.
yeah, welcome to your show.
And welcome to your
Well,
show,
thank you very much.
Sid.
So I'm pretty excited. First episode ever. And for you out there listening, this is how we're going to start off the show. We're going to introduce each other first, right? So I'm going to interview Han today, and we're going to find out about his drink of choice and the choices he's made throughout his life that shaped his life up until now. And then for episode 2, you're going to interview me, right?
Yeah, and we're going to be learning all about your choices and your drink of choice.
All the bad ones, probably. Right?
The best ones and the worst ones.
All right, so today, let's see, what is your drink of choice?
Well, my drink of choice is matcha plus creatine.
Matcha and creatine.
Yeah, matcha creatine.
Two things I didn't know would go together.
Surprisingly, goes very well. And here, cheers.
Cheers to that.
Mm.
Oh, that's pretty bitter.
Yeah, I usually just drink it hot without any sugar and just hot water. And I decided to drink matcha. I started drinking matcha probably more during COVID, right? Then once I got one time I got COVID, and I was drinking coffee, and I got this crazy muscle spasm. That after that I was like, I can't drink coffee anymore. And I started drinking matcha, which is probably a little bit more intense. The way I view coffee is like coffee's like a slap in the face, and then matcha is more like a slow kind of rise to the.
Where did the creatine part get?
Well, so the creatine happened when actually my wife got recommended by her OBGYN that she should start eating creatine because women after 35 typically don't create enough muscle mass, and creatine helps you build muscle. Actually, creatine is mostly known for kind of the gym rats eating it to kind of
buff
build
guys, right?
Yeah. So, as she started taking it, and I saw on TikTok suddenly about creatine and its actual mental effects on his brain. And that's when I got really interested in it, and I started taking it together. And so creatine is probably one of the most studied supplement in throughout time. And it's relatively, I think there's like no known side effects other than maybe a little bowel movements in the initial when you kind of load. But I've been taking it probably for now like 4 months now.
Okay.
So every morning I will wake up, put some creatine and matcha, and drink that every day. And I actually notice a lot of kind of the mental effects. So, there's kind of the brain fog happening during lunch, and that seemed to have kind of disappeared a lot for me. And it's been really a game changer.
So you've been drinking matcha since COVID.
Yeah.
And then you started adding creatine about 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And that combination's worked for you?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Yeah. And I definitely recommend it to everyone that I meet now almost. And I think it's also like I started taking creatine 4 months ago now, and I used to be able to do like 6 pull-ups, which is not impressive at all. But now I can do like 9.
Whoa, that's a 50% increase.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So it works.
So it's actually,
well, yeah, I know. Like creatine, I remember even in high school, way back when, a lot of the big buff gym rats were take to creatine before their workouts and stuff, right? But I never knew that there was an effect on your mental clarity. So that's the first I've heard of that. So
so they have actually researched on in high stress situation, it helps your brain improvement, or even during kind of when you have massive jet lags, your brain performance increases.
Oh, I got to try it then.
Yeah, for all your travel.
Jet lag's getting worse and worse. The older you get, it takes longer and longer.
Yeah, and there's research that kind of shows that it helps with kind of mood and helps, maybe a little bit with depression as well. So maybe that's why I'm a little jumpy and happy all the time,
Okay, I got to try it. I wish it tasted a little better though.
Well,
But I can add the milk or the cream into it, right?
yeah, of course you can do that, but I think coffee too technically is a bit of a
Ooh,
acquired taste. Is it?
very grassy.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. You know, it's kind of funny. I remember this. It's not really a story. It's something that happened to me in Japan quite a few years ago. I think maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, we went to Japan into Hokkaido, and we went to a nice sushi place. But it was one of those conveyor belt sushi
Mm,
places in Sapporo,
yeah.
and delicious sushi. But they don't give you wasabi on the plate,
Oh.
right? And we looked, and there was a little jar with this green powder,
Oh.
and my wife is like, "Oh, look, you know, this must be the wasabi." So
Oh.
we're taking this green powder and putting it into the soy sauce, mixing it up, dipping our sushi in it, and it's not spicy at all. I'm like, "Ooh, wasabi in Japan is legit. It tastes so much different than the crap we have in the US." And we
Ah.
finished our meal, and then we looked over and we saw the guy next to us take that same green powder and put it in hot water and mix it up. It was matcha.
Oh, did you put a lot of it?
No, we only put little
Very
spoon. Yeah,
little.
very little spoon. I'm like,
So.
oh, this is not very spicy. You know, it's
Uh.
kind of, it's very natural tasting. And we're dipping our sushi in it. But yeah, so
That's your
yeah.
story. That's very
But
fun.
I'm gonna try it because I drink a lot of coffee. I
Uh-huh.
drink a cup of maybe 2 cups a day. And I
Mm.
noticed too that nowadays, you know, even if I stop drinking coffee at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it still kind of affects me at night.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so I
Yeah.
think I mean, green tea in Korea
Yeah.
also is very popular and had a lot of health benefits, antioxidants. So,
Yeah. I think matcha has a decent amount of caffeine as well. So, yeah, I
but I
would
want to try with the creatine
yeah.
because, you know, the older you get, you got that brain fog. I'm
Yeah.
traveling a lot. I have
Yeah.
a lot of jet lag. So,
And just muscle strength improvement is generally helpful. So, definitely recommend.
all right, good choice.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about some other choices you've had in your life. Your first choice was, let's see, at first you wanted to be a musician, right? Music
Well,
production or
yeah, that's,
DJ.
that's right. So, in high school, my mom bought me a MacBook Pro and a MIDI keyboard, and I started making beats on GarageBand and rapping with my friends. And I was like, man, this is so fun. I want to become the next Timbaland.
Not the
But
next Rich Brian.
no,
Well,
Rich
actually,
Brian
Rich
wasn't
Brian came
there.
way after you.
Way
You didn't
after.
have a role model, an
That's
Asian role
right,
model, right?
right. Well, I
Not
mean,
yet.
no, there weren't real kind of like known Western Asian producers at
Yeah.
that point. At that point, it was Timbaland was one of the top.
You wanted to be a DJ or a producer or a
At the
rapper.
time, I wanted to become a producer,
Okay.
and rapping was fun, but I didn't have that lyrical talent or delivery talent. But I was able to lace some piano, put some beats on it, strings, and then create a decent kind of production around it. And I would create. All my school projects would be some rap
Mm.
with the production that I made. So like I made like a French rap. I would do some American like history class and
Ah,
with rap.
cool.
And I was having this. And man, it was so fun. But I think at that time, I was also a little bit risk averse, and I was thinking the probability of me succeeding as a producer, as an artist, seemed slim, right?
Hmm.
Or at least then, I succeeding as an artist has always sounded like a very low probabilistic event. So at that time, I was like, you know what? I'm good at studying. I like business. So I'm going to be in the music business instead.
Mm.
So I made that decision to be in the music business instead of becoming a producer. And that all kind of led to me um, even going to, interning at different companies. So back in the day, do you remember the girl group Wonder Girls?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was a
So
big fan.
yeah, so back in 2008 or not,
JYP.
yeah,
Hmm.
JYP, he decided to bring his girl group, Wonder Girls, that was very successful at the time in Asia, to US.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
yeah, and he was,
Jonas Brothers,
yeah,
right?
he was
Yeah.
supporting the Jonas Brothers. They were supporting the Jonas Brothers, collaborating with Akon. And at that time, I went in and interned there as a marketing intern, right? And that's how I
This is
really,
while you were in college?
this was in college.
Hmm.
This was my first kind of foray into the music industry. And then after graduating college, I went to NYU Music Business Master's program to learn about the industry kind of from a bird's eye point of view. And that's kind of that decision, that choice that I was like, hey, I'm going to pursue music business instead of
Hmm.
the art of music production.
As an undergrad, what did you major in?
I majored in econ.
Econ.
Yeah.
So you had sort of that business tint
Yeah.
to it anyway.
So business, some like statistics,
Hmm.
math, and but I went to Brown where we had kind of free curriculum. And
Yeah.
I chose econ because it had the least requirements to graduate. So
There you go.
yeah, that's how I started, right?
I
Yeah.
used to choose my classes based on how close they were
Yeah.
to my frat house, so I didn't have to walk all the way across
So you
campus.
had to crawl in the
Yeah, yeah,
morning after being
exactly.
hungover,
So
right?
going back to your high school days when you were doing production, I'm curious, and I just made a joke about Rich Brian, but back in those days, you probably didn't have a lot of Asian American sort of role models to look up to at
Hmm.
that time. Do you think that had sort of an effect on your decision to go to business? For example, nowadays, there's so many good Asian producers out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
If you had started becoming a producer now and had all of these role models,
Mm.
uh, do you think you would have stayed in that game?
Maybe or maybe not. I think I kind of had a unique background where I was actually born and raised in Korea.
Hmm.
And I came to the US in high school, so ninth grade. So for me, I was kind of surrounded by Asian entertainers, entertainment. At that time, I think God was
Mm.
big and all these kind of K-pop boy bands. And there were, yeah, I think JYP, he was
Around
also kind of, yeah,
in the 2000s.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
2000s. So it's not necessarily that I didn't have a role model. For me, I think it was more like parental and societal
Yeah.
pressure of like, oh, you pursuing tantara, that's what they say, pursuing like, entertainment as an artist.
Yeah.
Probably you're not going to succeed. Don't do that. But I think that's kind of what was like a big factor in me deciding to kind of pursue business. But yeah.
You just described probably every Asian creatives, aspiring creatives sort of relationship with their Korean parents, right?
Yeah, or any Asian parents in general, and but I think it's not necessarily like my parents that don't do it.
Hmm.
I think it was just more of a kind of societal thing, and they've been very
Okay.
supportive of what I'm doing. But
So
I
you don't
think
have regrets. Oh, I wish I would have stayed in the production side.
so. I was continuing to do it, and what happened was I started in managing artists,
Okay.
in when I was going to music business, and just realized how much more talented some of these kids are,
Yeah.
right? So, and also, I think it's also a time thing. These kids started from like age 6, 7, 8 producing, and they already had 10,000 hours ahead of me,
Hmm.
right? So, even if I started around high school, so the starting point was so different, and being able to spend that much time every day in it, there's just kind of that marginal alpha difference that they just have so ahead of me. So I think that's where when I kind of felt like, okay, I do want to kind of be in the business side, helping guiding these artists. But I do, think my experience trying to produce myself has really helped connect with the artist
Hmm.
because I do have some ability to speak their language,
Right.
understand what they're going through, listen to certain things, listen to the mix, and provide feedback and have intelligent conversations with these producing artists.
So isn't that a difficult industry to get into though? So you went to Brown, studied economics, did a few internships, then you went to NYU and got a master's in
Music
music
business, right?
business, music
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
So after you graduated, you started working in the music industry
Well, I was
as a career
well, yeah. I started managing artists while in music business.
while you were a student.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh.
and this was all happening because this was online, and
Hmm.
with the advent of internet distribution, like aggregate distribution, so anyone was able to distribute themselves. It really kind of opened up, and social media came in and really kind of created um, stars or potential stars to be discovered a much easier way, right? And like people will share their content online on forums or um
SoundCloud.
yeah, SoundCloud.
Mm.
So actually I found my first artist that I started managing in a Facebook group
Oh wow.
where one of it was like kind of an electronic dance music Facebook group where someone shared um, my artist's music, and I was like, "Oh wow, he's going to be the next Owl
So
City."
how did you approach that guy? You're just like, I mean, I guess in my era we called it a cold call, but here it's like a cold DM or something. You
Yeah, it was
you
basically a
just
cold
DM'd it.
DM
Yeah.
and just say like, "Hey,
Let's work together.
yeah, I went to NYU Music Business Masters program. I know my stuff. Let me be your manager." And he was like, "You know what? No one's trying to manage me." Um, and I actually kind of helped him kind of get a different
Hmm.
manager, right? And who was a little bit more established, because at the time I didn't really have the experience, so I helped him get a little different manager and kind of collaborated with that manager to work together with him, because and that's kind of how um I got into
Hmm.
kind of the management business, is collaborating with my basically one of my first kind of manager mentors. Her name is Emily White,
Hmm.
and she kind of helped kind of show me how you manage an artist, right? Because it's more from experience, and that kind of leads me to my second choice,
Which is
which is deciding to go to law school.
okay. And
Yeah.
why did you choose to go to law school? It sounds like you had a pretty solid path,
Mhm.
stable path. You knew what you wanted to do. You knew what you were interested in. You were managing artists. You
Yeah.
were you were being mentored by
Yeah.
somebody who
Yeah.
was an expert in that field, and then all of a sudden you want to go to law school.
Yeah. So what happened was at that time, that artist was starting to get some traction,
Hmm.
getting decent amount of fans, starting to tour, and have some momentum. But um, he wasn't making that much money, right? And managers typically make 15 to 20% of whatever is making, and I had partners in it, so I was also splitting that with partners.
Hmm.
So it was a very small money, even though there was momentum. So at that point, my mom was like, what are you doing with your life?" You know?
Mom is in the picture again.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she was like, "If you like working with DJs, you should become a JD DJ, go to law school, get your JD, and figure it
Oh,
out."
so that's where the phrase came from your mom?
Yeah, my mom,
JD DJ?
yeah, she came up with the phrase JD DJ, and that kind of really stayed with me. And we can talk more about that later. But at that point, I was thinking intellectual property,
Hmm.
contracts, copyright, that's all related to music. But really, what I was hoping was hopefully by the time that I graduate law school, the artists that I've been working with will become the next Tiesto,
Hmm.
Skrillex, the biggest superstar. I'll be a manager. I don't have to be a lawyer.
You were focusing on electronic music, and
Yes, at the
that
time,
sounds like, yeah,
very
okay.
electronic music. And that's when I was doing that. But what happened was by the time that I graduated, that artist was actually grew to making low six figures as an independent artist. And he was making a living for himself, but
Hmm.
managers, as I said, make a very small percentage of that. So it wasn't enough to really have a career after as a full time. And at that point, my wife was like, "You should get a real job." So, and that's how I,
Sounds like the women in your life are pretty practical.
oh, yes, yes, yes. And that's how I kind of applied to become a lawyer, and that's changed my path. And that kind of leads me to talk about my third choice, which is also, I married my wife fairly young when I was young. I married her when I was 24 when I started my law
Oh,
school.
24. That's
Yeah,
really young.
yeah, especially in this day and age. Um, So, I mean, but I've been with her actually, I met her my freshman year in college.
Mm.
So I've been at that point dating her for 6 years. And at that point, it was,
Put a ring on it.
yeah, put a ring on it or not. So, um, and she's 3 years older than me
Okay.
too. So, and she was kind of getting to an age where, and she's dated me for a longer time. And she was like, what's going to happen? And so, I
So you
was,
have a couple of mother figures,
yeah,
literally
yeah,
and
yeah,
figuratively,
yeah,
that have
yeah.
sort of guided your path, right?
And I owe it to all
Yeah,
of
you owe
them.
it to all of them.
I owe it to all of them. Yeah.
So you became a lawyer. You went to law school. So now this is your third college, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
went to law school and you graduated law school. And then what happened after that?
Graduated
Stayed
law
in the
school.
music business, right?
So my first legal job was actually at a place called Cowan Debates, Abraham Shepherd, which actually had more of a film and TV practice.
Hmm.
So when I came out of law school, the music industry was just coming back from the MP3 kind of download fiasco where everyone was ripping piracy. And it was like 2017 when kind of the industry was just kind of coming back. Streaming was coming in, Spotify, what people were starting to pay for Spotify. But what really was big then was actually film and TV streaming. Like
Hmm.
Netflix was coming in,
Yeah.
Amazon, Hulu, and the industry was spending a lot of money on film and TV. So even though my background was all in music, my beginning of my legal career was in film and TV development, production, distribution, and financing work. So I did
Oh,
that for the first 2 years. Yeah,
that sounds interesting too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Any
been
cool projects you worked on that you can share here?
well. I definitely worked on the option purchase agreement for Summer I Turned Pretty.
Hmm.
That's one of the things I was there. So yeah, so just like some of that kind of stuff and
Well, the summer I turned pretty, that sounds kind of cool, but you working on the option purchase agreement, I'm not sure.
oh right, so yeah, that's just so option purchase agreements are buying the option to purchase the right to produce a film based on a book,
Okay,
based on an underlying
right.
material.
So the
So it's the
author
option.
is
Yeah.
selling the content,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So
Movie rights.
yeah, the movie rights, film and TV rights. So it's that. So a studio
Hmm.
buys or acquires the option to purchase it. So during the option period, typically the studios develop write scripts and bring in different attachments and try to set it up at a studio.
So did you enjoy doing that kind of work or did you miss the music industry?
Well, to be honest, I actually did both
Both?
concurrently. Quite frankly, the firm probably didn't know, or I didn't tell them.
I won't
But
tell anybody.
yeah, yeah. So, but I was managing that artist on the side the whole time
I see.
and continued to do it. So it was, I think learning the legal side, it was always kind of still entertainment, fascinating stuff, and the deals in the film and TV industry was very complex and very exciting as well. But I also had a part of me where I could also be an executive because a manager is basically a CEO of a company
Hmm.
and the artists are kind of like the shareholders, right? And the manager is representing the artist and their interest in the music industry. So that you work with the label, you work with the publishers, you work with the publicist, you work with the agents. So you're kind of like the middle conduit between the artist and the industry.
It's very different from Korea, isn't it?
Yeah,
When you got
yeah.
the I mean, when you hear about managers
Yeah.
for artists in Korea, they're kind of like the driver and the
Yeah, the
assistant. Yeah.
day-to-day assistant, but very different industries, K-pop and the US, where in the US the manager is kind of the artist has a separate label, separate publisher,
Hmm.
separate agent, and as opposed to Korea where the K-pop companies are all of the above, right?
Yeah. Right.
And
So then you essentially are representing a company of that artist,
yeah,
a company
base.
of one or two or
Well,
whatever
yeah.
that group happens to be. Interesting. So is that what you're doing now? You were at that firm and then you moved, correct?
Yeah, so I was at that firm, and that was ends up being my fourth choice, which
Hmm.
is after 2.5 years at my first firm, I moved to Shepherd Mullen to LA. So at that time, I was in New York.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So
Same firm?
no, it's a
No,
different
different
firm.
firm
Yeah, different
to
firm.
LA.
Yeah, so and my first firm was kind of a small boutique firm.
And this
Um,
firm is huge, right?
yeah, this one is thousands of lawyers.
So for the film and movie production, you were working at a smaller firm in New York.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you moved to LA
LA.
for a bigger firm.
Yeah, bigger
In the
firm.
same industry?
Same industry and broader. So when I was at the boutique firm, I started working in film. Yeah, I started out in film and TV. But one of my manager friends who started working with a K hip hop group called Epik High,
Oh, yeah.
and Tableau was like, "Hey, I started working with them. They need an international lawyer. Can you help me?" And I was like, "Oh, I know music. I'm a lawyer." So that's when I started to getting back into kind of the music industry. And I also started working with this company called Amaze VR, which is a VR concerts company.
Hmm.
They would produce kind of virtual concerts, and everyone will wear their headsets, and they would rent a movie theater, and everyone can enjoy a VR concert in the movie theater.
Without actually being at the concert.
Yeah, yeah. So it's so that was kind of an intersection between music and tech and film and TV, right? So I was starting to kind of do more music and music tech work. And then when I moved to Shepherd Mullen to LA, it was a bigger law firm representing the biggest companies in the world. Amazon, Paramount. They were representing Peloton, ASCAP. So all these kind of top and Spotify. And that's kind of how I got recruited over here. And I was learning kind of the law, practice of entertainment law under the top entertainment lawyers practicing the game. I was fortunate enough to kind of service 5 or 6 of the attorneys that were really leading the charge in this kind of critical digital changing age and streaming world. And I was able to learn so much. So that was a big choice for me to come from New York to LA,
Yeah, that's a big decision.
half across the country. But
And you did that as a career step, right?
yeah, yeah, it was definitely a career step, and it was great. And that was I moved here at 2020, right before the pandemic.
Hmm.
So I came over, and a month after a pandemic hit. So that was a big
And a lot of production stopped, right?
yeah, yeah. A lot of production stopped, and then but actually there was a lot of activity still happening.
Were you still focused on the music industry or was it mostly film and
W
television?
was a lot of film and TV and a lot of podcasts. So this was I got recruited
Ah.
over when Spotify Podcasts was spending a lot of money investing into the podcast system, and the firm was representing Spotify Podcast and doing basically all the podcast deals.
Hey,
So
we need some sponsors too.
yeah,
Spotify
yeah,
podcast would be
yeah.
a nice hookup there.
That's right there. I'll hit you up. And they're not my client anymore. So also, so it's a
Okay.
great experience doing that. And what happened was that Shepherd was also a great platform for me. And I started working with this artist called Jackson Wang, who
Oh
is a
yeah.
very
Global artist.
a global artist. He left JYP and became a solo artist and started working with 88 Rising.
Hmm.
So I was assisting him on kind of his legal work, and that kind of really put me up in the map in the music world. And then I had the fortunate opportunity to work with SM and when Kakao acquired them and helped their U.S. operations. And after that, I also worked with the Black Label, Teddy's, the music
Hmm.
producer, still a label, and also had the fortunate opportunity to work with JYP Entertainment again. So I was able to kind of create a little niche market of representing a lot of the K-pop companies, Probably being bilingual and bicultural has would have been really helpful in working with them. So um, I think that's yeah. So that was a pivotal moment in my career coming to Shepherd Mullen, working in kind of like the big with the big boys really, and being able to see kind of how other big companies are operate and being able to assist incredible
It
partners.
sounds like you came full circle back to what you really wanted to do
Yeah,
when you made that decision back in college, right?
yeah, yeah,
To
yeah,
be in the music business,
yeah,
the
yeah,
business side of it.
yeah. So it's,
So, what made you? I mean, it seems out like things were going great at that law firm. What made you switch again?
yeah. So my last kind of choice is, and last September I decided to join Troy Gould Attorneys right here.
Hey, there we
Hey,
go.
presented by, and which we're actually recording this podcast in the office of Troy Gold,
Yeah,
who's graciously provided the space for us to create a studio within one of the offices. I
product
decided,
placement too.
yeah, yeah,
This
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Mm. Yeah, so I decided to move for several things. I think one of the biggest reasons was kind of AI, and AI really changing the way we practice law. Um, so I think generative AI started really kind of gaining momentum like late 2024. Not probably in the broader public, but there was definitely people who were into the tech space was experimenting with it. Even our firm, Shepherd Mullen, was bringing in their own AI. They're kind of worked with some open AI to create their own kind of ecosystem. And I'm starting to realize how AI is making my work so efficient, right? And um, lawyers typically charge by the hour,
Hmm.
but if my work can be done so fast with AI, it's really not, the business model is kind of not working
Yeah.
anymore. And the rate of me being more efficient at doing my work is so fast compared to my ability to bring in clients or bring in new work. So I realized if that's the case, I do need to go to a place where is a little bit has a little bit more flexible billing arrangements. So, potentially working with clients in a different arrangement, whether it's fixed fee or otherwise. So the client also gets an opportunity to kind of have a better estimation or a cap on their work. But from my end, I'm also able to leverage AI to do it more efficiently.
Right.
So for a particular fee.
Yeah. Well, as
S-
a client myself, not with Troy Gould, but obviously I've run a lot of businesses in Asia
Yeah.
and I've had to use legal services quite often.
Hmm.
And usually I would go to a law office, speak to an attorney, tell them
Yeah.
my situation,
Yeah.
and say, I need a lawyer, I need a letter for this, I need a contract for that. And they'd bill me 400, 500 bucks an hour,
Yeah.
write me 2 pages and charge me 1,000 bucks or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But now you just put it into AI, say, I want a legal form that says this and this and this,
Yeah.
and it spits it out. And then I take it to the lawyer.
Yep.
And obviously, they just need to look over, make a few changes,
Yeah.
and it's done. And they charge me an hour or half
Yeah.
an hour or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So, is that you see a lot of that happening?
Definitely. Now, I mean, I definitely feel as though I am negotiating with AI,
Hmm.
right? And that's totally fine, and I think that's great. And AI is so good at issue spotting now. So right now, it's really the lawyer's ability to discern whether or not a particular issue is relevant or not. But it is really creating a situation where the clients are a lot more informed. The other party is a lot more informed. So the parties are able to have a better agreement, right? Because once everyone knows what's going on, they can discuss it and talk about it, and that will lead to better and agreements, less disputes, right? So I think it's a good and a bad, but I think in terms of helping people really understand what they're agreeing to or what they're signing, I think AI has been positive. So um, I think now is before I would spend more time drafting. a
Hmm.
particular agreement. Now I'm spending more time explaining what AI is telling them, why that's relevant or not, or why we should be focusing on that or not. So I think lawyers are really is their discretion, their opinion, their judgment that clients will be paying for. Um, and I definitely the way I see it is it's going to be tougher and tougher for younger upcoming junior attorneys,
Hmm.
as more senior attorneys like myself are able to do more things without relying on junior
All
attorneys
right.
because AI can really take care of a lot of that part. So that's
Yeah, just another industry being
disrupted.
disrupted by AI. And who knows, after maybe like 6 episodes, we'll have digital avatars of ourselves just talking to each other.
Yeah, that's
We'll be
fine.
out of a job
AI,
already.
yeah, we'll have different AIs talking to
Yeah.
different AI agents, and that's going to be
Okay.
how
So
it is.
going back to your position here. So
Yeah.
you said there's flexible billing and some other different situations that are a little bit more flexible here. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so here they're also cool with me exploring different business opportunities as well.
Hmm.
And at a big law firm is a lot more difficult to do that because it's they represent so many different companies. They have 1,000 plus lawyers, and it's very likely that they represent somebody in a
A
particular.
1,000 plus lawyers in
Yes,
one firm?
in one firm.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
yeah, those are big law firms. So that they represent a lot of people. So they don't really encourage or let lawyers do other businesses outside.
I see.
Here, I just need to make sure that it doesn't conflict with the work that I'm doing or any of the attorneys here. But we are relatively smaller, so it's been less of an issue. So I'm trying to explore different business opportunities, and try to expand on my artist management business that I'm doing, and hopefully we'll see how it goes.
For the firm, you're still an entertainment
Attorney,
lawyer, right?
yeah, yeah,
Attorney.
yeah.
Um, and you're representing the firm's interests in that sector.
Hmm.
But the big difference is that you can pursue your own projects on the side.
Yeah, yeah.
Any one of those that you want to reveal here or talk about?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would love to tell you about the artist that I've been managing from the very beginning. I still manage him now. His name
Okay.
is Fox Stevenson, and he's a DJ producer that started a live band. And he's been touring for the last 3 months, selling between 800 to 1,500 cap venues.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's really leveling up, and it's been great to see through that journey and try to be with him throughout. And yeah, so
So you've been with him for what, over a decade
yeah,
now then?
over a decade now. Yeah, yeah, it's an
Wow.
incredible journey. And
That's like Jerry Maguire action going on there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's one of the way I see it, he's like one of the most talented artists that I've seen. He sings, writes, produces everything from beginning to the end. Kind of a technical wizard. And now he's realizing his dream because his dream was to combine electronic music, rock, and pop. And that's why he wanted to create a live band. That was the first thing that he
Mm,
said when we worked with together. We went through this elaborate journey of him being a DJ, and I think he was his own kind of enemy in the sense that he was talented in so many different things. So he was producing in various genres, and most artists and producers just kind of stick to one genre.
hmm.
But he was doing all these different things, and ultimately, the through line of through that was him singing on every single track. So ultimately, now is him with his live band, three-piece band, touring, and throughout this 13 years, he's been able to kind of develop a very loyal following. And
And we can find him on Spotify and
yeah, yeah,
oh, I
I
gotta look
will.
him up.
Yeah, yeah, we'll use one of his songs as his outro. I'll do that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Wait, depends.
Yeah.
Can we negotiate a good low fee?
Yeah,
a
I'll
bro
ask him for
discount for that?
gratis. Yeah, I'll ask for a gratis license from him. Yeah.
So are you happy with the decision so far? I mean, it hasn't even been a year yet, but
Yeah, it's been 7 months. I think one of the best things that moving to Troy Gould has been kind of coming as a partner, you are really your own boss, which means that you have that much responsibility, but also that much more freedom. And that's been great for me to really be able to spend more time with my family, my wife and my 7.5-year-old daughter, almost 8 now. And it's been great to be able to spend time with her.
oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I've realized too. I've been so busy with my businesses over the last 30 years that sometimes you just, you know, ignore the things that are important in your life.
Oh, wait,
Uh,
we have to talk. That's episode 2.
oh yeah.
We can't get into episode 2 right now.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
that
But
yeah,
I'm glad that
yeah,
you're enjoying your family, you're watching your daughter grow up, and
yeah.
spending time with them and able to co-host a
A
podcast, which
podcast.
your previous firm probably wouldn't have allowed you to do.
No, yeah, they would need to. I mean, I think we're not really not talking legal things, but it's we wouldn't have the time or
Hmm.
really the dedicated resources to do it. And Troy Gould, one of the things that I said when I came here was, hey, I would love to do a podcast. I want to do a vodcast. Please give me the space and support to do it. And here we are.
Here we are.
Here
Yeah,
we
and
are.
I met you at I think it was a family business conference or something like
Yeah,
that. And
yeah. It was
we
sponsored by
talked, yeah.
Troy Gould.
Yeah, sponsored by your law firm, and we talked about vatos,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we hit it off, and we had coffee later and lunch later, and you mentioned you wanted to start a podcast, and I said, hey, I want to start a podcast, and then here we are. Finally, that was a while ago. It took a little time to get off the ground, but here we are.
Here
It's
we
great.
are. Thank you for making this happen.
Oh, thank you,
This
and
is
thank you,
beautiful.
Troy Gould. Thank you,
Thank you, Troy
Gould,
Gould.
for allowing us to use this room and
Yeah.
create this studio and make this happen. Han, it was great to talk to you today.
Thank you.
That was our very first episode. We finally got it done.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did it.
So we're going to have a second episode, and we're going to switch seats. And you're
Yes.
going to interview me. And then from the third episode onwards, we're going to have some very special guests here. And we're going to talk about the choices they've made throughout their lives and how that's affected them,
Yeah.
and brought them to where they are now. So that should be really interesting. I'm excited
I'm very
to start
excited
this
too.
journey.
Thank you.
All right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks, Han. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you
Bye.
for joining us.